Good evening, everybody. Guess who for the second day in a row made it home in time to get out here to the park and tape? Yeah, it's nice out here this evening. It's kind of chilly for Southeast Texas. I'm kind of liking this. Feels real good. So I got my little light jacket on and everything. So tonight I wanted, what I was thinking about today and been thinking about sharing for this evening is talking about, I want to talk to you a little bit about Jesus heals the brokenhearted. I've been thinking about, those who have been crushed by life's circumstances and some of the things that have gone on, whether that was losing a loved one, being in a divorce, losing a kid, just a heartbreak, a heartache of whatever it is in life that has crushed you. Jesus is the answer, and he heals the brokenhearted. I want to go to Psalms 147 and turn over here right quick in my Bible to Psalms, or my phone, however it is we do that in modern times, just zip through it on our phone rather than turning pages. I still like turning the pages though. 147 verses 2 and 3, it says, "The Lord has built up Jerusalem. He gathers together the outcast of Israel. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." So God's talking about he understands that there are things that happen in this life that would require the brokenhearted to be healed. In another spot, this is Jesus when he came and he was just beginning his ministry. In Luke chapter 4, verses 17 through 19, it says, "And he was handed the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the recovery of sight to the blind, set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord.'" And so Jesus started his ministry off by announcing who he was and what he had come to do. And his role hasn't changed at all. His whole life of salvation and his whole work of salvation was to redeem mankind from the crush of the curse that entered this world with Adam's sin. Eve took the fruit, she gave it to her husband and deceived. And whatever that fruit is really irrelevant. But it was the act of disobedience that allowed the enemy to come in and take over, and that the curse came upon man. And that heartache, we were made by God to be wholehearted. We can see the perfection in a wholehearted person in the innocence of a child. When you look at a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old, we're coming up on Christmas, and the excitement that we feel in Christmas when we watch the kids open the presents and how excited they are, or we listen to them say something, and they'll say something that's funny because it's out of a pure heart, and we just the innocence and the pureness of it. That's how we were created. We get up a little older and life happens to us, and we start building walls. Our heart that was once tender and pliable becomes hard, and we lock people out to protect ourselves. We put up walls, we put up defenses, we armor up so that we don't have to let people in, and we don't have to live wholehearted. And so we live half-hearted. We don't let people close to us. That's, you hear people say, "That's one thing, I'll never let anybody do that to me again. I'll never be hurt like that again." But the problem with that is that makes us hard and cold. That's one of the great things about love is love. It allows ourselves to open up and be vulnerable to be loved. You have to open yourself up to be vulnerable, to be loved. That's one of the greatest problems with what's going on in our nation right now among the young people. You hear the men say, I'm not gonna put myself out there to be hurt, to be used. You hear the women say, they just want one thing from me, and I'm not going to put myself out there to just be used and to be hurt. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's living half-hearted. That's not being fully embracing and living life wholehearted, living it passionately. Another example I want to show where there's an example of this in the Bible, where Jesus spoke with a woman who had been crushed by life. She had encountered a lot of issues, particularly for her time. And that's the woman at the well of Samaria. I'm not sure if you know the story or not, but it's where Jesus is going through Samaria, and he stops by the well, and he is there without a way to get a drink, and he wants a drink. And so along comes a woman, and so he asks for a drink. So he says to the woman, give me a drink. And it's John chapter 4, starting in verse 13. He says, and Jesus answered and said to her, whoever drinks this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. And the woman said to him, sir, give me this water that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw. And Jesus said to her, go call your husband and come here, come back. Go get your husband and come back. And the woman answered and says, I don't have a husband. I have no husband. And Jesus said to her, you have said well, I have no husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you now have is not your husband. In that you spoke truly. And the woman said to him, sir, I perceive you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and the Jews say that the Jerusalem is the place where one ought to worship. Jesus said to her, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when we will neither in this mountain or in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know, and we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. And so Jesus said to her, go get your husband and come back. And she says, I don't have a husband. And he said, that's true, you've had 5. And the one you're living with now is not your husband either. You're not even married to him. I don't know how many of y'all have hit that number yet. Thankfully, I have not. I've went through one divorce, and it was crushing. This woman was about as beat down as you can get. She's in the well in the middle of the day so that she doesn't have to put up with the scorn and everything that comes from being a woman of her reputation in that time. 5 husbands, and she was living with one that wasn't her husband at the moment. 6 relationships that she had her hopes and dreams and desires and everything crushed at least 5 times. She was beat down about as far as you can go, and Jesus just looked at her. And she tried to deflect. She tried to, we worship here, and we do this, and some people say, this and that, and Christians this and that. She's trying to deflect. And Jesus just kept drilling down and kept drilling down to get to the heart of the matter, because he wanted to heal her broken heart. And she said, I perceive you're a prophet. And then it goes on just a couple verses later where she says, the woman said to him, I know that the Messiah is coming. When he comes, he will tell us all things. And Jesus said to her, I who speak to you am he. He got to the heart of the matter and said, I'm here and I'll heal your brokenhearted. And he did. He healed her heart and he set her free that day. Jesus can do the same. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He still heals the brokenhearted. If you're crushed, if you've been through the hardships of life that have left you bitter and hopeless and crushed and pressed down, take your heart to Jesus and see if he won't set you free, because he will. He'll pour in the oil and the wine. And those aren't just catchphrases, meaning he'll take that which will cleanse you and heal you up. And he'll change your heart of stone into a heart of flesh, and he'll touch you and make you whole again. Take your heart to Jesus and he'll fix you. He still heals the brokenhearted. Well, I've gone on quite a ways now. I hope you got something out of this today. If you did, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave me a comment below. And we'll talk to you soon. God bless.